Mother's Day has a way of sneaking up on you. But when it does, 1-800-Flowers makes it easy to send mom something beautiful, thoughtful, and worthy of everything she does. Right now, with double blooms from 1-800-Flowers, order 1 dozen roses and get another dozen for free. It's a bigger gesture with fresh, beautiful flowers arranged to make Mother's Day feel as special as she is. Make Mother's Day feel bigger with double blooms at 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.
911, what's the nature of your emergency?
Welcome back to the Tactical Living Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Walton, joined by Sergeant Walton. Glenn, how are you?
I'm really good.
I remember when my mom died, and in particular when she was dying, and how different my body was responding to life and all of the things that were happening around me. For the first time in my life, I developed insomnia, and there were times where I would sleep like 1.5 hours. And any time in my life prior to that, it would be a non-negotiable functioning for the rest of the day if something like that happened to me to cause me so much sleep deprivation. However, during that time of trauma and all of the stress that I was going through, I remember even in the moment of things being so shocked to see the way that my body was still able to perform. And so I'm sharing that with you because today I wanted to talk about high functioning burnout in first responders and when you're not okay, but you still are performing.
I think just like when we're going to a very tense situation, a very high stress situation, whether it's a shooting, a stabbing, some crazy incident where we show up and we could feel exhausted. We could be leading up to that. You could have had a bad night's sleep. There's just plug in the whatever you're feeling before that incident for yourself. But when you show up to it, you are completely like all your senses are like on point. You're able to analyze and do anything and everything. Afterwards, you're going to feel that burnout come back into effect. But our bodies are an amazing thing, being able to respond to a situation, especially when it's very tense and you're going through so much at once. It pushes all that to the side.
Yeah, and I think that for a lot of first responders, they live in something without even realizing it, to where you're still showing up, you're still performing, you're still getting the job done, but internally you feel exhausted or disconnected or just like you're not okay.
And I think one of the signs with that is, you're going through your routine on a day-to-day basis, but you're not kind of going out of your normal, or you're not going over and above like you traditionally would. And it's all these signs that you might not be presently aware of, like these are impacting me, but you're still showing up, you're getting things done, but it doesn't feel fulfilling when you're doing it.
And here's the thing that I've seen for a lot of first responders, a lot of times it's not this obvious burnout. There's no collapse. There's no major breakdown. It's basically this quiet depletion that's hidden behind your discipline, your professionalism, your responsibility. And I think it's important that we explore how high performance can become a mask that keeps deeper stress unnoticed.
And I think we put on those different masks for different situations, and we bury ourselves with, okay, if I stay busy, then I'm not going to feel this way. Or if I keep doing this, I'm not going to feel those stressors come up, or I'm not going to have to worry about what's going on at home or what's going on at work. And when we start putting on those masks on a regular basis, we start separating ourselves from that environment to where we start having that burnout on the back end, and we're just masking it, trying to make us feel better. So it's almost like, oh, I'm tired. I need to crank in the energy drinks all day today, and just like drinking those to make yourself feel more awake. And I think that's just it's putting a Band-Aid on a very like arterial bleed.
Yeah, the psychological concept is high functioning burnout. And this occurs when individuals maintain performance and this outward stability, but internally they're experiencing emotional exhaustion, maybe detachment. You can even have reduced capacity, which I've seen a lot too. And everything still looks fine, but the need for you to be able to recover goes unnoticed. And when my mom was dying, I remember specifically having to be that high functioning person when, everything in me physically and emotionally was experiencing that burnout. I don't think a single person saw it or knew it. Not the doctor that I worked for, not my husband, not my dad, not my brothers, because I had to be the go-to, the person who was holding everything together. And I don't think I had ever functioned at a higher capacity in my life when everything within me was not wanting to. Everything in me wanted to fight back. And, my body was telling me, Ash, this something isn't normal here. And yet I felt at the time that I didn't have a choice. And in looking back, perhaps I didn't. However, in looking back also, I know that there were other things that I could have been giving to myself to help me to navigate things that would have made it a lot easier.
Yeah, and it's being able to look at everything in hindsight to a degree of being able to find how you can't change what's already happened, but you can change your response to how you react to it in the future. And in doing that, it's noticing these signs. It's noticing these differences in how I'm handling speaking with my kids, speaking with my spouse, speaking with my loved ones who are also going through something that it's not great, but you're able to say, I need to take this time to really look into what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong.
For a lot of people too, it could look like completing tasks, but feeling no satisfaction. Maybe you have emotional flatness despite your productivity. I've seen a lot of people who basically are going through things methodically and almost robotically because they just need to check things off of their list. Maybe you're pushing through the fatigue, but you're not actually addressing it. Some people have difficulty slowing down or checking in with themselves or their family. I think too that sometimes we feel like we're disconnected from our purpose or our meaning. And when that happens, I've seen a lot of people that will show up, but they're not actually as present as they're trying to portray themselves to be.
Yeah. And when we are showing up without being fully present, it doesn't do us any favors. It doesn't do our families any favors or whatever you may be doing. And I think it's so important to be able to run these self-diagnostic checks. We should be treating our bodies and our minds as a vessel and being able to fuel it and feed it as much information as we possibly can to not only recognize when we're going through a hard time, but when we're going through a good time and being able to diagnose, okay, what did I do to make this difference?
There are some signs, I think, that you're functioning, but maybe you're not okay. When I worked for Satan, I remember that I was getting everything done, but I was feeling nothing. So my performance was super high, but my fulfillment was super low. And
in recognizing that, it leads to other seated unhappiness, and it leads to these issues is, you can accomplish your goals of what you have to get done on a daily basis, but when you're not being fully fulfilled with what you're doing, there might be time to make that change.
And two, I think a lot of people feel tired in a way that rest just doesn't fix. The exhaustion can be a lot deeper than things that are physical.
Yeah, because you're super unmotivated. You could be unmotivated. You're not feeling like, I need to get this done today, but I really don't feel like it. And it's something that you really enjoy doing. And when you start recognizing something that you typically would enjoy doing and you feel obligated to do it instead of you're getting to do it and getting to have that experience, then you have to really look at, okay, what's going on here?
And this sounds counterintuitive because it is, but I've seen it happen a lot where you don't have the energy to reflect or to process things, and yet you stay busy instead.
When we fill ourselves with busy work, and I think everyone is guilty of this, is you add more onto your plate because that uncomfortable silence is where you're not getting to really address what's truly going on.
So how do we address this high functioning burnout? I think the first thing is to just acknowledge that functioning does not equal thriving, and performance can actually hide depletion.
When we are filling ourselves with that busy work on a day-to-day basis, and we're adding more tasks on, adding more things just to do to keep us busy, and we're not actually diagnosing, okay, well, how am I truly feeling? Then we start burning ourselves out more and more and more. And this goes into like what we've talked about before, is how are you going to fill up your own cup when you're always pouring out onto others?
Something that's really cool is that awareness is going to interrupt autopilot. So if you allow yourself to be able to create space to check in with yourself, then you're able to kind of disrupt that pattern.
When you have those pattern interrupts on a regular basis, it could be with intention or it could be without intention. Being able to do that pattern adjustment. So think of it as we're flying in the air, and you're in an airplane, you hear the pilot say, okay, we're going to have to lower our elevation because we're going to be hitting a lot of turbulence here. What they do is adjust before hitting that turbulence to a different elevation, so you're not going to hit it in smooth sailing.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to leave you with is the importance of just addressing emotional fatigue is so important, because it's not just about your physical rest, and recovery usually needs to be deeper in order for you to be able to get that respite that you're looking for. I hope you've gotten some value out of today's episode. If you have, do us a favor, drop a review, subscribe down below, and as always, know that I'm sending you a long, tight hug from my home to yours.